I don't know. What am I saying? Who are you? What's your name?
I don't know.
What do people
I don't know.
need to know?
Maybe we should go and listen to other podcasts and see how they start. Hello, welcome to Le Pod. It's a brand new podcast we're going to be putting out from down here in the basement of Le Pub twice a month. We're going to be talking to our staff, our community, local bands, local artists, and anyone we think is interesting.
Yes, welcome to the first ever episode of Le Pod. Who better to have with us on this inaugural episode than Sam Dabb, our venue manager, our commander-in-chief, the driving force behind the continued existence of Le Pub. She's going to hate me for saying all that, but whatever. We talk about all sorts. Obviously we touch on music and the running of the venue, but all sorts spoken about, such as...
It's because I think it's dangerous. I think it's going to kill thousands of viable businesses across the country.
Yeah.
They're all going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And I think it's dangerous.
Sure.
She is a perfect, well-rounded, beautiful, intelligent, wonderful human. I think we're 3 months away from full societal collapse.
So a couple of things I wanted to mention just before we get into the actual meat of the conversation. Been told that I should probably introduce myself. So my name's Ben. I've been working at the pub in various capacities for, who knows, a while now. Time has kind of lost all sense of meaning since lockdown. Could be 10 years, could be 10 months. But yeah, I've been around. And I am your host, I guess. I've never done this before, but I am the asker of questions, the arranger of microphones. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be here for the duration. Speaking of microphones, I've got a quick confession as well. With this being the first episode of Le Pod, you'd expect some technical difficulties, and you'd be right to expect technical difficulties. I brought 2 mics, only one ended up working perfectly, and the selfless host that I am gave that one to Sam, so you should be able to hear everything that she says pretty perfectly. Myself, on the other hand, not so much, but it's alright. Secondly, a massive shout out to Exit International, who have graciously allowed us to use one of their songs as the theme tune for the pod. And then finally, if you like what you hear today, consider leaving us a tip, and you can do that over at ko-fi.com. I was mistakenly pronouncing it as Ko-Fi because that's how it's spelled, so it's ko-fi.com/lepod. And the concept is, if you like what you hear, if you like what we're doing, you can buy us a coffee. So that's over at ko-fi.com/lepod, and every penny would be hugely appreciated in these dark times. Without further ado, here is episode 1 of Le Pod with Sam Dabb.
Just like all the big podcasts, just start halfway through a conversation, don't they? So I guess we'll just do that.
Do they? I don't listen to podcasts.
Do you not?
No.
You never listen to a podcast?
Only the Otis Gibbs one.
Oh yeah, so you're going to be on a podcast before you... Well, fair play. Good work.
Yeah.
Cool. So, describe Le Pub in, 30 seconds to someone who already knows that it's a music venue. Like, what sets it apart? What is Le Pub?
I think the fact that it's community owned sets it apart.
Yeah.
It's owned by 67 of our regulars and supporters. We've got shareholders from all over the world as well as locals. I think the fact that we're hugely inclusive and accessible, that's massively important to us, sets us apart from some venues too.
Yeah, for sure. You said it's a community benefit society is the term, yeah?
Yeah.
Like what does that mean?
So in order to raise capital to move venues, we asked the community to invest between £350 and £5,000 each. And then going forward, they have a say in how the place is run.
Okay. Go on, sorry.
You elect a board of 6 from the shareholders who make the everyday decisions, but any shareholder can come to a board meeting and, have their say.
Yeah. So do they, like the shareholders, do they expect like a return on their money, or is there like a greater purpose than the
money? When you invest, you're warned very strongly that you may not make your money back. You may even lose your money. But the plan was to pay interest from year 3.
Yeah.
and you can also remove your shares from year 3.
Oh, okay. So the money's in for that 3-year period,
yeah,
and
then if you want it back, you can have it back. But it is written into the rules that if the business can't financially support paying you back, then you can't have it back.
Oh, okay.
So the board have to make a decision. So yeah, okay, so we can afford to pay this shareholder back.
And people knew that, and people were kind of okay with, right, this money is to help the pub. And
it's to help the pub, and eventually one day maybe I'll make some money and I get to help run a venue.
Yeah, that's cool. Would you recommend it as a business form for other music venues and for just businesses in general?
Yeah, 100%. It's really good. It's really good because it's not only that we raised enough capital to move venues, it's also that we've now got a huge database of people that care. So, for example, we've got shareholders that are electricians. So if something breaks, it's their investment. So they'll just come, and as long as it's a quick job, they can come and they can look at whatever we need fixing, and plumbers and things like that. And and as long as they're qualified, then we can let them do the work, and it saves us a lot of money.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. So what happened to the old place? Why did it close?
The landlady was selling.
Oh, okay.
We had a 5-year lease. We had 6 months left on the lease, so she gave us the 6 months notice that she wasn't going to renew the lease.
Yeah.
We looked into buying that building, and I sat down with a business advisor, and they said, you could get a business loan, but why that building? And I started talking about oh my God, we've done this gig and that gig, and they were like, no, we're not asking you for an emotional commitment. We're asking you why, business-wise, this building makes the most sense.
Right.
And I went away, and I was like, it doesn't. It's on the wrong side of town. It's got stairs that we'll never be able to put a lift in for. It's never going to be accessible. It's too small. We can't expand in any way. So we started looking for a new building.
Do you think it was the building and where it was that kind of hampered your success in the old place, or?
I don't know. I think it was quite successful.
Yeah.
It was still a really great venue.
So you were there for how many years?
In total, the business was there for 25.
25 years.
Yeah.
Man.
And it was good. It was great. It was just, we couldn't do food. We couldn't build a recording studio in the basement. We couldn't expand upstairs and do any of the things that we're doing now. So it was about...
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was what it was, and it was never going to be anything else.
Yeah.
And I think part of the excitement was being able to plan for all the new things and do all the new things.
Yeah. So was that... did you have these ideas while you were in the old place?
Yeah, I kept trying to do food in I bought a George Foreman and tried to do fish finger sandwiches, and there wasn't space. It wasn't possible.
Yeah.
So we could never do food, and I mean, we didn't have a dressing room, and there was nowhere to put a dressing room. So we were there were certain gigs we wouldn't even be looked at for by the booking agents because the dressing room was part of the contract.
Right.
So
nightmares. Yeah. So
we got round it a few times because the travel lodge was next door.
Yeah.
So we booked travel lodge rooms and let the agents know that the dressing room was in the travel lodge. And some bands loved that because they got a free travel lodge.
Yeah, true.
But other bands didn't want a dressing room that wasn't in the same building.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was your role in the old place? Were you the manager of the old place? Or
It's quite funny. I drank there a lot.
Yeah.
When I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
And then I kept asking for a job, and the guy that ran the place kept saying, "Not a chance, you party too hard. No way, I'm not hiring you, never." And then I think it was the day before Christmas Eve, and he grabbed me and was like, "Do you still want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You start tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine."
Started on Christmas
Started on Christmas Eve.
Oh, Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he was like, "But you're fired on Boxing Day because I still don't trust you."
At least he told you in advance.
And I was like, "Okay, no, I just need money. I'm so desperate for money. I'll work."
Yeah.
And then I think Boxing Day, he's like, "Can you work tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
I thought I was fired.
Yeah, and then he was like, fine, do you want to work New Year's Eve? And I was like, well, yeah, but I kind of need to know if I've got a job because I need to look for another one if not. And he was like, fine, you can have a job. And then he left, and one of the bar staff was assistant manager. He got promoted to manager.
All right.
And then he left, so I became the manager.
Right.
Purely by default because this guy literally did a runner mid-shift. And I came in, and the lady that owned the building and ran the business then as the business owner was there crying because she didn't even know how to lock up.
Right.
And I was like, it's fine, I've got keys.
So she was the owner, but she didn't.
She paid him to run the business for her, and she'd just come in monthly and take the money and all the paperwork.
So why did she run a music venue?
She had 6 pubs.
Oh,
she had 6 pubs, and it was just one of the pubs that she owned.
Right.
And
so it wasn't a project of a kind of love or whatever.
No, she had a pub and somebody had turned it into a music venue, and she was making money through it.
Do you think that makes a difference now as well? Because you're you're obviously the manager here and you love the place. Does that make a difference in how it runs and
Yeah, I
the
think
place?
the old pub, when I took over, we were only doing local bands on a Thursday,
Yeah.
and it really
Just one
bothered
night a
me.
week, was
One
it?
night a week, local
Really?
bands only, and it really bothered me because we had this amazing venue. So I got in touch with a bunch of friends from Cardiff who were running a promotion company, and I was like, you can have free venue hire
Yeah.
if you book touring bands into my venue.
Yeah.
And then that's just where it all
So you were
started.
the start of touring bands coming
Yeah.
as well. So it was just a place for people to come and drink, and there was what, like a jukebox or
Yeah,
something in
and
the
a
background?
weekly local gig night.
That was it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it now.
So weird.
Weird.
Just this amazing venue that was only used one night a week.
So underutilized. Yeah. Crazy.
So we started doing touring bands and then international touring bands, and
Yeah.
that was
Do
the
you remember
beginning.
the first international band that played the pub?
I don't.
No.
I remember the first touring band, and it turned out they were from Cardiff, which really bothered me.
Yeah.
But they were on tour, so it was part of a tour, and I was like,
Oh,
I'll
from
take that.
Newport.
I'll take that one. That's
Yeah,
fine. That's
why
fine.
not? Yeah, happy days. So I saw online, I was kind of doing a bit of research, trying to make it professional. There was the video on there of like the build process of the new place.
Yeah.
Looked pretty fun. Like it looked like a good time. Was that just kind of good editing, or was it actually fun?
It was both.
Yeah.
It was both, because it was amazing, and there was a massive like community spirit, because loads of the shareholders came in and painted and
Yeah.
built things, and it was great. But it was because we had 6 weeks to turn it round from a derelict building to a runnable venue
Yeah.
that people would be safe inside.
What was the time period for? Why only 6 weeks? What?
Because we left the old pub,
Yeah.
and I kind of did it to myself because I decided that it was our 25th birthday.
Oh, okay.
6 weeks later,
So you wanted it ready
and I
for
wanted
that.
to be opened on our 25th birthday weekend.
Yeah.
And also the fact that you're paying rent on a building, you've got to get it done as fast as you can because you need to get the money coming in to pay the rent.
Yeah, true.
So parts of it were really fun, but it was 6 weeks of turning up here at 11 a.m, working till 1, 2 in the morning, going home, going to sleep, being back here by 11 a.m, 7 days a week for 6 weeks.
So it was intense, but
It was really intense.
Did you have many, like, because you were talking earlier about shareholders that are also electricians and plumbers and stuff, did you have just that kind of staff, or did you get other
No, we got
contractors
loads of
in as
people.
well?
We had like a builder come in and do a load of work.
Yeah.
And then we had loads of shareholders and staff just painting.
Yeah.
Just running around
doing
with
things that they
paintbrushes.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you want to do it again?
No.
No, definitely
No.
wouldn't want to do it again.
No.
If this place closes, that's
I
it.
don't
Done.
know how I'm still married. I don't think. We just screamed at each other for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was,
Poor Matt Dabb.
yeah.
Poor Matt Dabb.
Poor me. He's really grumpy when he's stressed.
Can't imagine him being grumpy.
Oh, he's so grumpy.
I asked him to come in. He could have explained himself.
He
but,
could.
We should just talk about him
Yeah,
instead.
we should just bitch on him.
Yeah, Matt Dabb. Terrible. So, would you say that anything has changed between the old pub and the new place? Obviously, like the new stuff that we were talking about, like the food and the different facilities. But would you say like?
I think in it to a certain extent, because between like managing the old place and coming here, I took a 5-year lease on the building myself because the landlady, she had enough.
Oh, right.
And she was like, I'm going to sell. And I was like, don't sell, give me a 5-year lease. So she
that
did.
was 5 years before the new pub was
Yeah.
open. Oh, okay.
So I've lost where I was going.
I was talking about if anything's changed.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot in those 5 years. And another thing that's changed is it's not just me now running a business as a sole trader trying to make some money.
Yeah.
I'm now responsible for like 67 other people's investments. So we have to be a lot more professional.
Yeah.
It was really difficult at first, but I'm really enjoying it now. It's a much more professional setup.
Yeah.
The old pub was very much like a DIY music venue. We're going to make the rent this month, who knows?
Yeah.
Whereas this one, everything's audited, everything's great, everything's done really professionally.
Yeah. I feel like we've still kind of managed to preserve that DIY spirit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the gigs and the
Yeah,
staff.
we're
and
still
just the
doing
spirit of
everything
the
ourselves.
place.
We're just
Yeah,
doing it a little bit better.
in a more professional way. Yeah, I agree for sure. Would you say that like you have changed by your kind of intertwining with the pub?
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to say too lenient, but I was a far easier person to work for in the old pub because there wasn't as much at stake.
Yeah.
So I think now I'm much more, I don't I want people to be working when they're here because they're getting paid with money that could be going to shareholders, so they need to be working, whereas in the old pub it was just my money.
Yeah.
So if I couldn't be asked to do any work, then they didn't have to either.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
So
as
yeah,
much.
it's just me, and I've decided I can't be bothered tonight, so let's all just sit at the bar.
Yeah.
But I don't have that option here because it's not just my money at risk anymore.
Makes sense. Do you think like the time that you've been going now kind of makes it more at stake as well? Like we've been here 35 years, like we can't mess up now, like we have to
28.
28,
Yeah.
whatever, 35, 28 is the difference.
Same.
But do you think that kind of plays into it? Like we're a part of Newport, we can't
Yeah,
let this
there's a lot of pressure. Like when the landlady came and said she was going to sell the building at the end of the 5-year lease, and because I mean she was retiring, she didn't even want to collect rent anymore. She just wanted to recoup her investment, and retire. And there was a lot of I felt a lot of pressure in terms of, so we've got regulars that have been drinking with us for 10 years. We've got bands that built their career with us. There are bands coming through Newport that need to build their career. If we're not here, where do they go?
Yeah, literally.
Because at that time as well, I mean, there was far less venues in Newport. I mean, we've got McCann's 2 doors up now. It's great, things like that. That wasn't an option. We were the only live music venue in Newport, and it was like a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's still like, in terms of the whole of South Wales, there's not that many. There's Cardiff, obviously.
Yeah.
There's the hub. I'm not even from Newport. I'm from Caerphilly, and I come all the way here just to work here because there's nowhere else like it. People ask me like, isn't there a bar or a pub you could work in Caerphilly? I'm like, yeah, there is. But I don't want to work in a Wetherspoons or whatever. You want to work in a place
that's
like this,
fostering creativity and
that my band could play in if we wanted to, or whatever, that has that sort of stuff. I don't want to just be pulling pints at the bar, which is, like we've talked about before, the nightmare of COVID. That's literally all we can do. We're here working in a DIY Wetherspoons, which is a nightmare.
Hence setting up podcasts and streaming and sessions
whatever
and
we can.
Just to remind ourselves of why we do it.
Yeah. So I wanted it, well, when I was thinking about the podcast, I wanted it to be like a COVID-free zone, but thinking about it more, I think that's kind of a privileged position. Like if you have something you can talk about outside of COVID, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Like I don't. My job has been destroyed by it.
Yeah.
Like my family life has been altered forever. It's just
completely and utterly consuming. It's such a weird thing to be living through because it's consumed the whole world.
Yeah.
The entire world has been consumed by a virus.
Yeah.
And it's
mental. Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I remember one of the girls that drinks here, actually, I messaged her for the first time in ages a couple of weeks ago. And the last message she sent was about how her works had cancelled their post-Christmas party in February because of COVID. Yeah. And oh my God, what an overreaction. And that was the last message. And I was like, ooh.
Overreaction. Yeah, that didn't age well.
No, that did not age well.
Well, the death toll just reached 1 million.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And I just messaged her and I was like, look at that message. And she was like, oh my God.
While we're on the topic though, how is the running of a business during these times, or running of a venue during these times? An obvious question, but
financially, I did some maths on Friday because it was bothering me. So the same Saturday last year, we're currently operating take-ins this Saturday on 8% of the revenue.
8%.
So we're down 92% like for like.
And that's what like for like from last year?
The same Saturday last year.
It's insane. I understand that completely. Like we were talking the other day about how it used to be at the bar, just the hellish kind of unruly throng at the bar. 200
people crammed in and 50 people in a queue outside. So there wasn't even a break when somebody left. Somebody else would just appear at the bar and replace them.
For sure, yeah. What a nightmare. As I was going to say, you made headlines the other day with your open letter to... Well, who was it to? Who did you write an open letter to?
To the 3 leaders of the nations that make up the UK.
Yeah.
I didn't include Northern Ireland because they have their own... They're so far away. Their rules and regulations are so different from ours. They're running as their own country, and I fully respect them for doing that because they're making their own decisions.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think one of the things that upset me about the curfew was the fact that going through the crisis so far, Mark Drakeford and Nicola Sturgeon had stood up to Westminster and said, no, we do not think you're right.
I was impressed by that.
We don't think you're right. We're handling it this way. And in terms of numbers of cases and deaths, they both handled it so much better than Westminster.
Yeah.
And then they both caved to pressure from Westminster to introduce the 10 p.m. curfew.
Yeah.
And really, really disappointed me.
Yeah, they kind of let themselves down.
Yeah.
I was proud with how Wales was handling it so far, kind of seeing what England did and almost taking it a step better or a step safer kind of thing.
Or just waiting 2 weeks and being like, hang on, we don't know if that's right or not. Let's just hang on.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should have been done.
Yeah.
Really cautiously.
Yeah. So the letter was mainly about the 10 p.m. curfew, yeah? And is that kind of what's killing us at the moment, mainly, would you say?
I think social distancing's killing us. People's fear of getting ill. People's genuinely justified fear of getting ill. It's not helping. But pre 10 p.m. curfew, I think we were operating on about 73% of turnover, and that's enough to break even.
Yeah.
We were just about going to scrape through the year. We were gonna, we were gonna be fine. And then the curfew hit, and it's just a joke because it's not even. If even 10% of me thought that it was the right thing to do in terms of saving lives, I'd suck it up.
Yeah.
But I genuinely believe it's dangerous.
Yeah.
The amount of house parties and things, it's dangerous.
Yeah, because people don't just go home and play Scrabble or whatever. Yeah,
they don't stay in with their dad and play Scrabble. No. They go around their mate's house.
Yeah, exactly.
Even I got invited to a group chat, inviting me to a house party, and I was like, no, absolutely not.
That's ridiculous. And for the record as well, you throughout the first lockdown, you were someone that took it very seriously.
Yeah,
you were
high
one
risk.
Of those people, you're high risk yourself.
Yeah. I didn't see my daughter for 5 months.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Ever not seeing her. And I did everything I was supposed to. I followed every guideline.
Yeah.
I think I broke the one guideline when I accidentally walked the dog for about an hour and a half instead of an hour because I was just enjoying wandering. And I was like, oh, crap, I'm at the house for hours.
Yeah. But you're still convinced that, this curfew.
The curfew's dangerous.
Yeah.
I was happy to be closed down when they closed us down. I was like, absolutely the right decision. Let's go for it. We'll get through this somehow. We started doing deliveries to get money in.
Yeah.
And then, but I genuinely don't think the curfew is the right thing to do in terms of viral spread.
So if you were Mark Drakeford, if you're Sam Drakeford for the day, what would you do? What's your solution?
I'd have kept it at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Because one of the big things that I've got is that house parties, no one's track and tracing.
Yeah.
So if one person at a house party comes down with a case, you're relying on a bunch of drunk people that had 30, 40 people in their house to be able to contact everyone that was in their house.
Yeah, that's true.
But if we have a customer report to us with a case, I've got a database of emails and phone numbers, and the track and trace system can get in touch with them 10 minutes after getting in touch with me.
Yeah.
And that's not happening at house parties. It's not happening at illegal raves. It's not happening when people gather in the streets.
And that's just one of the policies that we have here as well. Like, all the hand sanitizers literally everywhere as you come in, as you leave, as you go down the stairs. There's the one-way system.
Yeah.
I've never been to a house party with a one-way
Exactly.
system.
And people just cram into kitchens at house parties. There's no distancing.
Yeah.
Because if you're here, I will make you distance.
Yeah.
You will sit at a table and you will have nice drinks and,
Oh well, hopefully Mark Drakeford's listening. And
that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice one day. Well, on to other happier topics. Going back to the beginning, what first drew you to the music industry? What was your introduction to the music industry?
I don't know. I've always asked myself this because my family aren't really involved in music at all, apart from my cousin Simon, who was in a punk band.
Yeah.
I think as a kid I always quite looked up to him as well, so maybe there is something there. His family are from a different part of the country to ours. We were not particularly close family, but I always knew my cousin Simon was in a punk band.
Yeah, and
which
that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, and that kind of made me think, what is punk music? When I was 12, I was like, let's have a listen to this.
Yeah.
And then I think when I was 14, I started, I lived in Pontypool, and the skaters had all built a half pipe in an old abandoned church.
Yeah.
So we all just used to hang out there and they'd skate and we'd just sit around and watch them skating.
Yeah.
And there was always somebody with a tape player with some kind of punk music playing.
Yeah.
And I think I got given a C90 with Operation Ivy on one side and the Violent Femmes on the other. And I think that was yes, this is it now. I'm done.
What is C90?
Yeah, like a cassette. 90-minute cassette. Yeah, that's what they were called. Yeah.
I'm not even that young. I've had cassettes. I've never
90-minute cassette.
Oh, right.
So you could put an album on both sides.
A C90.
Yeah.
Cool. So was it it was always kind of the culture and the lifestyle of punk and DIY music as well as just the music for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was, I don't know, it's kind of difficult to explain, but we grew up without much money, and there were people in my school that had money and clothes and everything, And I think one of the things that drew me to the punk scene was the fact that nobody was going to judge me because my trainers didn't cost £60. They didn't care if my trainers cost £3. They just, you are who you are. You get judged on who you are, not what your parents can afford to buy you when you're a kid.
For sure. Yeah.
So I think a lot of it was that as well. It was the fact that these people, honestly, they weren't going to start picking on me.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't have the right shoes or the right hair and things like that.
It's odd, isn't it? Because the punk scene from outside can be quite intimidating, I guess. But like as soon as you step foot in it, it's the most welcoming, kind of all-encompassing.
Something I always used to say about the old pub, because people used to say it was clicky.
Yeah.
And I used to say, oh no, it is really clicky, but it's the biggest clique in the world, and you are more than welcome to come and join our clique.
Mate. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
I think also I started going to TJ's.
Yeah.
Because all the skaters used to go to TJ's, so I'd go to TJ's, and then obviously you end up at a gig and you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is.
You remember the first gig that you went to even?
Yeah, I do. The first gig I went to was Ned's Atomic Dustbin in Newport Centre. And then the first DIY gig I went to was Rancid in TJ's.
Oh, yeah?
Their first UK tour. And I only went because it said X Operation Ivy on the poster. And I was like, I love Op Ivy. So yeah, got to see Rancid in TJ's, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. That's a claim to fame.
Yeah.
I can't remember my first DIY gig. My first gig was Nickleback, though. Yeah. Proud to say it. A lot of Nickleback haters out there, but I'm not one of them.
Matt Dabb will love that. Have you told him?
I'm not sure.
He loves Nickelback.
Does he?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He loves Nickelback. He wants to do Nickelback for stars so bad.
Matt Dabb. No, I'm in. We'll do back-to-back against me and Nickelback next time. Be sick. So, over the years since then, I'm sure, like, there's been tons of trends and changes and ups and downs and stuff. We were talking the other day, I put the Tony Hawk's playlist on, and you said that when those games first came out, there was tons of new people coming in, tons of new people to punk. Has that happened like multiple times over the years? Has something happened and it's caused like
not to that level. Not so that was huge. Yeah,
really, it was that perceptible.
Yeah, it was massive. And I think in terms of because obviously punk and skateboarding are so intertwined.
Yeah.
And my friend runs a skate shop.
Yeah.
And in terms of like his custom being from the 15, 20 skaters that live in Newport to being, I mean, he had to expand the shop.
Really?
He had to move from a shop in Market Arcade over to where it is now. Yeah. Because he suddenly had 30, 40 kids in on a Saturday all trying to buy skateboards.
All because of Tony Hawk's.
And he was like, what the... Like, it's just really weird.
Yeah. Because we were talking about everyone being welcome. The pub's for lovers, everyone knows that. Is there anyone that's not welcome? Like, if a group of Tories came in or whatever, like, what would your reaction be?
It's not so much... Tories I can kind of handle because they're human beings and we can talk to them about the horrific policies that the Tories have implemented and maybe make a difference.
Yeah.
Racism, not a chance. We always said that the only thing we're intolerant of is intolerance.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to come and attack someone for the colour of their skin or their sexuality, then you're gone. Ta-ra, see you later.
Yeah.
And just little things like that. It's a safe space for everyone to be themselves. And the only time you'll be refused is if you're trying to take that liberty away from someone else.
Right.
So if if you're around there, trying to stop somebody being who they want to be, then you can get gone.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because I was thinking, like, in terms of who we might want on the podcast, like, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a local Tory in and a local Labour kind of representative and just seeing what they had to say.
Yeah, sit them down and talk.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's too much... just wanting to shut people up.
Well, I think that's really well demonstrated by Charlie Simpson from Busted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huge Tory, actual card-carrying member of the Conservative Party, and there's not many of them.
No.
And we kind of chatted for about an hour, and we didn't find much common ground, but we found a tiny bit of common ground, and I think it's the fact that people don't want to look for common ground anymore.
No, they don't.
That's like a massive problem. They just want to shut each other down, and I don't... Tory policies are evil. Yeah. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Conservative Party policies are evil. The austerity levels, everything they've ever done, it's to get themselves more money.
Yeah.
But I genuinely believe there are people out there that don't understand that. And all that, for whatever reasons, they've decided that that's the party that they want to support.
Sure. I think the only way that we get to know those reasons behind why they vote the way they do is by talking.
And there's also, maybe there's something to be learnt. Maybe they are better at maybe that potentially there are things that both parties could learn from each other about just making the country somewhere nice to live again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's not like everyone who's intelligent votes this way, and then everyone who's an idiot votes this way.
And it's not like everyone that is incredibly empathetic votes one way. But it's drawn that way in the media.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think the media is a big problem. Like it's insane how these private individuals can own these institutions that completely form the opinion of the whole country.
Yeah.
How is that a thing?
It's
just
completely bonkers.
Yeah, I can't see it continuing.
But, no. Have you seen the way that they're going to be running the BBC now? The person they're appointing to run the BBC and things.
I heard rumours and stuff. I didn't hear what it actually was.
It's just horrible. It's just somebody that's going to control it for them. It's not, it's not somebody that's got a background in media. It's a Tory donor.
Yeah, and that's the BBC.
Yeah,
someone who's supposed to be unbiased.
That is the British Broadcasting Corporation, who were, for a while, I used to get angry with some of the things and scream bias. But then there were people on the right screaming left-wing bias. Yeah. And I think if both sides are screaming that an organisation is biased, it's probably quite balanced.
Yeah.
But it's purely, it's just Tory propaganda now.
It's right in the trash now, yeah.
I mean, even if I got news for you, which is like, they don't seem to be like packing as many punches as they used to, because they're terrified of getting cancelled.
Yeah. Interesting word that you said there. What... would you agree, or would you even say that there is a phenomenon of cancel culture?
I think there are people out there that would like there to be. Yeah. People who try and cancel other people. Yeah. But it's not successful.
No.
Because when you become like a cancel culture person, it's so obvious to see from the outside that you have an agenda, you have this and you have that, and it might work for a few weeks or whatever, like all these Twitter things where you see a band being attacked on Twitter because they said the wrong thing once. Mm-hmm. That does happen, but it's very rarely successful. Yeah. Unless I think the only time cancel culture is appropriate is if you find out like a member of a band has been sleeping with 14-year-old girls. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Cancel them.
Yeah,
but when it comes to political views or maybe saying the wrong things, like you say the wrong word in a sentence about feminism and then the huge like feminist Twitter just descends and demands no one buys this band's records anymore. Yeah. And it's like, no.
That's just something else.
Somebody said the wrong thing. They've tried to explain. You've shut them down. Leave them alone.
Yeah. I feel like that's a different thing. It should be a different word even. Yeah. Justifiable cancellation compared to just a mistake.
Yeah.
But social media plays such a kind of role in that though. It's everyone has a voice, and it's never a voice that's spoken kind of calmly.
No.
It's always just shouting in your face.
Yep.
It's just
Some of the responses on Twitter to the open letter are insane. I got called a petite bourgeois.
Petite bourgeois.
Yeah.
Oh, petit bourgeois.
Yeah. They were like, I don't think it's time to listen to the petit bourgeois about who own pubs about whether or not opening pubs is safe. And I was like, I live in a rented house. Yeah. My car is 12 years old. Bourgeois. I lost so much money in the old pub that I ended up having a personal bankruptcy order. Yeah. I am so far from bourgeois. Yeah. Like, I am the least bougie person you're ever going to meet. I'm sat here with paint all over my trousers. I am not.
What do people even base these opinions on?
The fact that this person genuinely thought that the only reason I want the curfew gone is to make money.
So you can carry on your bourgeois lifestyle.
Yeah, but it's not. It's because I think it's dangerous. I think it's going to kill thousands of viable businesses across the country. Yeah. They're all going to go bankrupt. Yeah. And I think it's dangerous.
For sure.
If it was based in science, 100%, I'm really sorry, I'd be one of those people losing my business, but I would suck it up. Yeah. Live incredibly frugally for a few years and then start again when it was safe.
Yeah, because you know that people's lives are more important than money.
100%. But I genuinely think the curfew is causing more problems than it's solving.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, even before the curfew, before COVID, when we were operating at full capacity, we still weren't raking it in.
Nope.
Like, no one was making millions from this thing, so I don't know where the bourgeois type comes from.
I think we lost 37,000 in the first year, which we expected to lose, which is what the share offer capital was for. Yeah. And then I think all businesses lose money in the first few years. I think we lost a couple of thousand in the second. I mean, all these accounts are on Companies House. They're perfectly public. And we were on track to be making a profit by year 5. Yeah. But because it's a community benefit society, it's also a non-profit. So any of that profit would simply have been ploughed back into the venue and its benefit to the community. A community benefit society.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's weird. People just love to hate.
Yeah, they do. I don't understand that. I don't get it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should try and get some of these Twitter trolls
I'd love to.
in here.
I'd love to.
Speak to them.
Sit them down with you.
But I don't know if they'd even speak. Well, they probably wouldn't.
But 3 of the accounts yesterday were anonymous.
It's always the way.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's just cowardly. If you've got... I know for a fact that there are people out there that think my opinions suck.
Yeah.
But I will always put my name on them.
Yeah.
Because they're my opinions.
Yeah,
I would
for sure.
never do anything anonymously.
Yeah.
Like, where is even the joy in... Like, for me, when I put my opinion across, I get a satisfaction from, this is my opinion, this is how I feel. I've let that out now. I'm no longer, bottling it up.
Yeah.
If you do it anonymously, do you even get that same release, or does it carry on bottling,
because nobody knows that you have that opinion still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, I'm sure you have strong opinions, you state those publicly, but if someone came to you with evidence to the contrary, you'd be happy to change that opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I have done.
Yeah.
I have done in the past, people, and I've been like, oh my God, that is a really good point.
Yeah, I think that's lacking as well in the social media kind of...
I think that's it. No one believes it's evidence.
Yeah.
It's not evidence. No one believes anything anymore. It's that whole fake news thing.
Yeah.
No one, if it doesn't fit their confirmation bias, they don't believe it.
Yeah.
You can't make people see things.
But I think there is, like, I definitely don't want to endorse the fake news term, but I feel like it's hard to find absolute facts.
Oh, it
these
is.
days.
It is.
Like just the internet and...
I think it's not even that it's hard to find facts. It's that everyone's an expert these days.
Yeah.
You used to be able to know who to listen to. And those people knew that they were the experts in their field.
Yeah.
And people knew they weren't experts in that field. So they had respect. I think it's more a lack of respect for people's... There was a guy on Twitter yesterday going on and on and on about how wrong I was. And I said, but you have 0 qualifications in data collection, 0 qualifications in viral spread, and no experience in the hospitality industry. Why do you think you can just completely and utterly belittle my opinion and my 28 years?
As a Twitter scientist.
Yeah, and he was like, well, talking to you, I guess I could learn to run a pub in a week because you're thick and you're doing it. And I was like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah, why did you get so personal, so
Yeah.
quickly kind of thing, so offensive? Ridiculous. I feel like there's kind of a cynicism as well, like you were saying about the experts. Like they'll come in and give their opinion, but then people quite often are thinking, well, who paid that person? Who does that person work for? What agenda does that person have?
And that comes down to 10 years of Tory government.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times it's been leaked that so-and-so was getting paid by them to say that.
Yeah, people
and
don't
now there's
get burned
no
again.
credibility anymore.
Yeah.
Same as no one really believes Donald Trump's got coronavirus.
Yeah, true.
The man that holds probably the most important office in the world has no credibility and no one believes him. It's awful.
Yeah. How do these people keep getting elected, though? I watched the... have you seen the RBG, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary?
I haven't seen it.
It's so good. I watched it the other day. Like, I didn't know much about her until she died, unfortunately, which is always the way. But she just seemed so... Like, and I've only watched one documentary, so I'm no expert, but she seemed level-headed. Like, she made friends with the most right-wing person on the judges' bench with her, even though she was a liberal. Like, you can't imagine that. You can't imagine Trump making friends with Jeremy Corbyn or whatever.
No.
Like, it's just... Like, why can't...
People don't want to learn from each other.
Yeah.
They don't. They've got their views. Those are their views, and no one's changing their mind. And they surround themselves in bubbles of people so that they don't have to.
Yeah. How do we fix that?
I mean, like when Charlie Simpson came in, my friend John, who brought him in, was like, "Oh, don't talk about politics. You won't get on." And I was like, "No, I want to talk about politics. I want to hear
the other side.
what he thinks.
Yeah.
And I want to give him my point of view. And maybe at the end of the conversation, we like hugged. And he was like, well, we're never going to get on politically, are we? And I was like, no, but we kind of got on anyway. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. There was no...
Yeah. So did he have points where you were like, oh yeah, that makes sense? Or was it just...
I don't think either of us had points that the other one was like, oh my God, yeah, that's right. But I think it was the whole, okay, so this is your perspective.
Yeah.
And this is why you think this. And your upbringing has led you to think this way. But can you understand why my upbringing has led me to think this way? And I think that was really good because it's quite obvious, and I don't know, it's like you're born to absolutely loads of money.
Yeah.
You're going to vote Tories because they protect
For sure.
money.
And I understand that.
Yeah, me too.
If you're rich, they will look after your money.
Yeah.
They will make you more rich.
Yeah.
But why? Like me and you were knocking doors around Newport. There's not a huge amount of rich people in the doors that we were knocking. And still some of them were saying...
It's aspirational rich.
It's
the
true.
people that believe that if they vote for them long enough
Then
they could be just like them.
Yeah.
It's the people that... One of the things that I think's been lost is the definition of working class. Because people think that working class is like people off council estates.
Right.
But it's not. There are people in 7-bedroom houses with 3 cars. If you go to work, you're working class.
Yeah.
And the people... you need to vote with the working class, and you need to ensure that, everyone is looked after, because the further up the scale they get, those people eventually are going to start feeling the pinch. Like, obviously, it's the people now visiting food banks that are feeling the huge pinch of austerity.
Yeah.
But the longer time goes on, the effects are going to get worse and worse.
For sure. Yeah.
And even like, I don't know, Roger and Tracy in their 7-bedroom house with their 3 cars, they're going to have to get rid of one of their cars.
Yeah.
Because... the money is just being sucked out of the working class.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's where we're leading? Like things are going to get worse and worse until...
Yeah, 100%.
What? Revolution? Or,
well, I genuinely, it's quite a mad view that if the furlough scheme isn't extended the way it exists at the moment, instead of the winter scheme, I think we're 3 months away from full societal collapse.
You reckon? 3 months?
Yeah, because so everybody will stop getting paid on October the 31st.
Yeah.
There's a 10-week wait for universal credit minimum. Those people have 10 weeks with nothing. They can't pay their rent, they can't pay the electric, they can't pay their water. Yeah. Even if they're lucky enough to find another job, it's doubtful there'll be as many hours because companies just don't have as many hours to give out.
No.
They're going to end up homeless. They're going to end up absolutely fuming at the way they were left behind by the government. Yeah. I genuinely think...
Yeah.
The furlough scheme being ended it needs to be sector specific now, because I think there are massive companies out there taking advantage.
Yeah.
But the events industry cannot trade.
No.
So extend furlough for them.
Yeah. Or not profitably trade at all. Yeah.
The hospitality industry cannot trade. Extend furlough for them.
Yeah.
There are other trades that sector specific furlough has to exist.
Yeah, and they're not even hard sectors to find.
No.
Really. You could easily identify which sectors are
completely and utterly done for. And I mean, there are other sectors taking on. I know there's a frozen food factory that's just created 190 jobs in Newport. Yeah. Because of the people are eating at home, not in restaurants.
Yeah.
So those people that are on furlough, potentially they could go and find other jobs, because not everybody wants to sit down and do nothing. No. It drove me mad.
Yeah, for sure. It comes down to kind of equality, I guess. Like you hear about Jeff Bezos has made however many more billions, while all of us are getting on food banks. How can that exist?
I don't think billionaires should exist.
No, yeah, same. It's just ridiculous.
I mean,
both
maybe
those extremes exist.
Yeah, I think once you get to 10 million, it's tough.
Yeah.
Stop working if you want.
Tough. You don't get any more than 10 million.
Stop working if you want.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how, in a world where there are literally like mothers with babies go into food banks living in hostels, other people have got billions. It's not right. And until we have some form of equality, then some form of just even if they introduced maybe a UK-wide basic income, then let the billionaires exist. Yeah. Because then it is your choice.
Yeah, just so no one is dying.
No one is starving. No one's freezing to death in the winter, which has happened. It's...
And then if you want to earn your billions on top,
carry on.
Crack on.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be these two extremes. It's just insane. Yeah. Well, to finish up, I can't open my phone now. It's not recognising my thumb.
It's not your thumb.
It is my thumb. To finish up, I just wanted to ask what your greatest achievement and hardest moment has been. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be
in life or in the pub.
Let's say both. They might be the same. Let's do life first.
My daughter.
And the pub second. She's your hardest moment? Or?
No, both. Yeah, both. No, my daughter's my greatest achievement. Yeah. Like, I'm 19 years old and pregnant, and didn't have anywhere to live apart from my mum's spare room. Yeah. Split up with her dad when she was 4, but she is a perfect, well-rounded, beautiful, intelligent, wonderful human. Yeah. And she's my proudest achievement, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, hardest moment.
In my life?
Yeah. I feel like I should have done these the other way around. We're going to end now on a down
Yeah,
note.
it's quite dark. Like 3 days after I lost my brother, I ended up in hospital.
Yeah.
Like being told that I was having major surgery and just lying on a trolley in a waiting room with a curtain around me. Just absolute devastation. There was so much pain, so much exhaustion. My brother had gone. I couldn't support my mum through that because I was too ill.
Yeah.
I was really conscious of how much pressure I was putting on my mum. Because, there was a chance that I was going to die, and there was this whole, she will not cope if she loses me too. And the 100%, that moment right there.
So then how did you work your way out of that?
You just do.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You can wallow or not wallow, and I don't wallow.
Yeah.
Never wallowed.
Yeah.
I tend to wallow really deeply for about 3 days.
Short-term wallow.
And then I'm done. Yeah, I go real deep, real depressed.
Yeah.
And then I'll literally just wake up one morning and be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How do we get this fixed?
Ready to go. Fix it.
Yeah.
Fair. Cool. Well, I was going to thank you for your time, but this is our podcast. We're here.
Yes.
This is Le Pod. So we'll thank ourselves for our time.
Yeah, haven't we done well?
I thought so. Hopefully other people do. Episode 1 in the bank.
Woo.
Yes.